Ghosts of Viridia. Kalen Thorne pressed the stolen Eidolon shard against the Lumini Guild's central console, feeling its cold pulse synchronize with the phantom screams only he could hear. 5 years ago, his brothers-in-arms watched silently as Guildmaster Silas Morrow exiled him into the lightless Viridian abyss, branding him a traitor. Tonight, Kalen wouldn't just expose the lie. He'd make Silas live it, one excruciating memory at a time. Viridia wasn't just a city, it was a symphony of light, magic, and soaring crystal spires powered by lumina, energy drawn from human emotion. Kalen, Silas, and their sworn brother Garrick Vance were the guild's elite resonance weavers, guardians of the delicate balance. Kalen possessed a rare gift. He could see emotional imprints as shimmering auroras, tracing joy, grief, or treachery across the city's energy grid like fingerprints. Silas, charismatic and ambitious, dreamed of expanding Viridia's power. Garrick, steady and loyal, was their anchor. They were closer than blood, entrusted with the city's heart, the Luminara core, a colossal crystal that amplified and purified raw emotion into usable energy. Kalen loved the core's song, a harmonious blend of Viridia's collective spirit. The cracks began subtly. Silas grew obsessed with ascendance, a radical theory proposing that concentrated negative emotions, fear, anger, could yield 10 times more power than joy. Think of it, brothers, he'd argue, eyes gleaming. Viridia could become unconquerable. No more rationing lumina during winters. Kalen resisted, horrified. The core thrives on balance, Silas. Force-feeding it despair is like poisoning a well. Garrick remained silent, troubled. Silas dismissed Kalen's warnings as sentimentality. Progress demands vision, Kale, not fear. Unknown to Kalen, Silas had begun secret experiments in the abandoned Lower Foundry District, siphoning despair from political prisoners. The betrayal unfolded during the Grand Confluence, a festival where Viridia's Lumina output peaked. Kalen, monitoring the grid from the Luminara spire, sensed a discordant shriek, pure, amplified terror, surging toward the core, not from it. He traced it to the foundry. Rushing down, he found Silas standing before a grotesque machine, prisoners shackled to emotion siphoning conduits, their faces twisted in silent agony, feeding raw terror into a pulsating, corrupted lumina crystal. Garrick stood guard, face grim, avoiding Kalen's eyes. "Silas, stop! You'll destabilize the core!" Kalen roared, reaching for the emergency purge rune. Silas moved with chilling speed. "I warned you, Kale. Your weakness endangers Viridia." A surge of corrupted lumina, amplified by Silas, slammed into Kalen. Not pain, but erasure. A violent scrambling of his neural pathways. He awoke hours later in the guild's judgment hall. Disoriented, his gift a chaotic storm of fragmented impressions. Silas, standing before the High Council, holographic evidence flickering. Logs showing Kalen sabotaging the core stabilizers, communications with the hostile Sunderlands Alliance, testimony from verified sources, Garrick, head bowed, confirming Kalen's jealous obsession with Silas's authority. The corrupted Lumina crystal, Silas claimed, was Kalen's creation, found at the scene.
The evidence was flawless. Kalen's denials were the ravings of a traitor caught in the act. His sentence? Eternal silence. Exiled to the Viridian abyss, a magically sealed chasm where Lumina died and senses faded into nothingness. As guild enforcers dragged him away, Kalen locked eyes with Silas, not anger, but profound sorrow. "You sacrificed our oath for power, Silas. Viridia's light will choke on your lies." Silas's gaze remained steely. "The light thrives, Kalen. Your shadow is removed." Garrick wouldn't meet his eyes. The abyss wasn't death, it was unbecoming. Days bled into years without sun or stars. Lumina deprivation eroded memory, identity, even the passage of time. Kalen clung to fragments: Silas's betrayal, Garrick's silence, the prisoner's terror. He scratched their faces onto the obsidian walls with shards of rock. He talked to their ghosts. He learned the abyss's secret. It didn't destroy Lumina imprints, it preserved them, like flies in amber. The very emotions Silas deemed worthless, despair, resignation, the quiet grief of the forgotten, were etched into the chasm's walls, resonating with Kalen's scrambled senses. He couldn't see the auroras anymore, but he could feel them, cold, heavy, and suffocatingly clear. He discovered veins of voidstone, a mineral impervious to lumina that could absorb and store emotional imprints. He spent years, decades perhaps, painstakingly carving voidstone shards, learning to trap the abyss's lingering sorrows, honing the stolen agony into a weapon. He called them eidolon shards. His gift was broken, but the abyss forged him into something else, a living archive of stolen pain. His escape was born from Silas's greed. Seeking new power sources, Silas's guild drilled too deep, fracturing the ancient wards sealing the abyss. During a violent tremor, Kalen clawed his way up through the fissure, emerging into a Viridia he barely recognized. Brighter, taller, colder. Silas was now High Luminary, a near-deified ruler. Garrick commanded the Viridian Guard. The city thrived, but Kalen's fractured senses screamed. Beneath the glittering surface, he felt the constant, gnawing thrum of fear, rationing, surveillance, the silent dread of dissenters vanishing. Silas's ascendance was complete. Viridia ran on carefully managed despair. Kalen wasn't Kalen anymore. He was a ghost named Kieran, a scavenger in the Undercity, trading voidstone fragments for information. He learned of the Sorrow Engines, massive versions of Silas's original machine hidden beneath Foundry District, fed by political prisoners and malcontents. He learned Garrick's guilt was a cage. Silas held his family hostage, forcing his compliance. He learned of the Harmony Gala, where Silas would unveil the Eternal Sun, a new core powered solely by refined terror, promising limitless energy. Kalen's vengeance crystallized. He wouldn't kill Silas. He would make Viridia see the truth. He would make Silas feel every ounce of suffering he'd caused.
Kalen's war was waged in shadows and stolen memories. The Whispers. Using eidolon shards, he imprinted fragments of abyssal despair onto public lumina nodes. Fountains pulsed with sudden collective grief. Light sculptures flickered with faces of the forgotten prisoners. Whispers of unease became a chorus. The Cracked Shield. He infiltrated the guard's archives, finding proof of Garrick's family's imprisonment. He sent Garrick an eidolon shard containing his own memory of the betrayal. Silas's cold gaze, Garrick's averted eyes, the prisoner's silent screams. Garrick shattered. He became Kalen's silent ally, feeding him security schedules, engine schematics, and the location of Silas's private memory vault. The Key of Sorrow. Silas's vault required a bioresonant key, his unique emotional signature. Kalen needed Silas at peak emotional intensity. He targeted Lyra Morrow, Silas's beloved wife. Using an eidolon shard containing the pure, unadulterated terror of a child in the Sorrow Engines, he subtly imprinted it onto her favorite garden's lumina blooms. Lyra, empathic and fragile, absorbed the horror, collapsing into hysterical night terrors. Silas, frantic with protective fury, radiating intense, volatile emotion, accessed his vault to find a calming resonance for her. Kalen, hidden nearby with a voidstone resonator, captured the raw, chaotic signature. The Harmony Gala arrived. Viridia's elite gathered beneath the new Eternal Sun Core, a monstrous obsidian sphere pulsating with sickly violet light. Silas, though strained by Lyra's illness, radiated triumphant authority. Kalen, disguised as a lowly Lumina technician, moved through the throng, a ghost among the glittering. His plan was a symphony of despair. Movement 1. Revelation. Garrick, his loyalty finally broken, triggered a citywide broadcast override. Instead of Silas's speech, holograms flickered above the eternal sun, showing the real Foundry District. Rows of emaciated prisoners shackled to sorrow engines, their faces contorted in silent agony, feeding the core. Gasps turned to horrified screams. Movement 2. Resonance. Kalen activated a network of hidden Eidolon shards throughout the plaza. The captured despair of the abyss, amplified by the Gala's heightened emotions, flooded the space. Elites doubled over, weeping uncontrollably, assaulted by memories of loss, guilt, and terror not their own. The eternal sun core pulsed erratically, overloaded by the chaotic influx. Movement 3. The Mirror. Kalen ascended the dais as panic erupted. He jammed the Voidstone resonator, keyed to Silas's stolen biosignature, into the core's auxiliary port. He held aloft the Master Eidolon shard, containing the cumulative suffering of the Abyss and the Foundry prisoners. "You sought power in despair, Silas." Kalen's voice, amplified, cut through the chaos. "Taste the harvest." He plunged the shard into the resonator. The effect was catastrophic. Not an explosion, but an unraveling. The eternal sun didn't shatter, it became a lens. Silas Morrow screamed, not in pain, but in absolute soul-rending horror. Vivid, excruciating memories, not his own, flooded his mind. The child's terror that haunted Lyra, the crushing despair of the abyss, the final agonizing moments of every prisoner who died fueling his engines. They felt their fear, their betrayal, their hopelessness, as if living it. Simultaneously, the holograms shifted, showing Silas's own memories, forging evidence against Kalen, ordering Garrick's family imprisoned, coldly calculating prisoner attrition rates. The city watched, paralyzed, as their high luminary writhed on the dais, consumed by the very suffering he'd authored, his darkest deeds projected for all to see. Garrick, seizing the moment, freed his family and exposed the prison locations. Silas didn't die that night. He was imprisoned, his mind shattered by the relentless echo of 1,000 tormented souls. The guild collapsed. Viridia faced a painful rebirth, learning to harness Lumina through hope again, guided by Garrick's hard-won remorse. Kalen stood on the edge of the Viridian abyss, the repaired wards shimmering below. He held an Eidolon shard pulsing with cold light, the last remnant of his own stolen past. He had avenged the betrayed, exposed the lie, and shattered the tyrant. But the cost was absolute. Years in the abyss, weaponizing sorrow, had hollowed him. He wasn't Kalen Thorne, the resonance weaver. He wasn't even Kieran, the ghost. He was the void where memory screamed. Dropping the shard into the darkness, he watched its light vanish. He didn't walk back towards Viridia's painful healing. He turned towards the vast, uncharted wastes where no lumina flowed and no ghosts whispered. His vengeance was complete, a perfect, devastating note that left only silence. He had become the final echo of Silas Morrow's crime, a living scar on the world, walking into oblivion with nothing left to resonate, nothing left to lose, and the terrible, empty freedom of a story finally ended. The light of Viridia glimmered faintly behind him, a city saved by the ghost it created and could never welcome home. The only sound was the wind, scouring the bones of the world, carrying nothing, remembering nothing.